Hey y'all, it's Dr. J. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director of Counseling Services, and today I'm going to be talking about stress management techniques that you can use for finals week. But before I get into that, I really just wanted to acknowledge how difficult things have been for y'all this past semester. I can only imagine that there are tons of different feelings that you guys are going through right now, or experiencing rather. Whether that's anxiety, stress, sadness, grief, related to lots of different or various areas of life, school, family, work, you name it. It's been an adjustment, and I couldn't be more prouder of you guys for taking it in stride and doing your absolute best despite the circumstances that have been imposed on us. I want to remind you that I'm here for you. Counseling Services is here for you. We have support groups running, and our therapists are continuing to offer individual appointments if you'd like to talk more about some of personal reactions and things you have going on. No matter what they're about. So please don't hesitate to reach out. That being said, today's video, I'm looking at my notes over here. Today's video is focused on, it's for StudyCon, right? And StudyCon is geared towards having a successful finals experience. And so we're going to talk about some techniques that you can use to reduce stress around finals time. And the first thing I want to talk about, probably because it affected me a lot when I was in college, is procrastination. I am not unfamiliar with procrastination. It was my friend for a very long time. And so I can admit that, but I can also say that it caused me to feel even more overwhelmed when the time came that I had to complete assignments. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. I was the person who had to clean my entire apartment and had to have everything in its place, and everything else was taken care of before I ever got around to writing a paper or completing a project. That's not a great technique, again, because it just adds all of this stress to you, time pressure, basically, right, when you actually have to complete the assignment. So one of my first suggestions would be, if you know you're about to go into a week of studying and a week of finals taking, exam taking, that you do your best to get all of that out of the way. If cleaning your apartment is a thing, your house is a thing, get that done the weekend before all of this starts so that you don't have the excuse. Know what it is that tends to facilitate procrastination for you, and do your best to eliminate that beforehand. So that way, once you get into the time period where you're focused on finals and studying and those sorts of things, you have, it has your full attention. So after you kind of deal with procrastination and plan for that, the next thing I would suggest is really trying to be organized and prepared by focusing on time management. So this means that you're going to need to know your deadlines for when projects, exams are due. That way, before those deadlines, you can allot time appropriately to study and complete those exams or those final projects. You'll have to determine how much time is necessary, right? Like some assignments are going to require more times than others. That's just how it goes. So you'll need to really plan out your time accordingly. That way it's most effective. You'll want to take breaks. So working for too long can cause exhaustion, and it actually reduces the quality of our work. So breaking things up into smaller, more manageable time frames is really, really helpful. That's the same thing that goes with like cramming for studying, right? Longer periods of really intense studying is actually not very helpful because we don't retain much information. Shorter periods, like I don't know, maybe like 45-minute periods with a short break afterward are actually really more effective. And even more so, which is interesting, I learned this while I was in college. Actually, if you nap after you've studied, you're more likely to retain the information that you just studied. So just something to consider. If you enjoy naps, I do, that might be a way that you can incorporate it, and doing it after you've studied will be helpful for you in remembering the information that you just took in. Which, I mean, if we're talking about naps, it leads me to another thing, and I'm always going to talk with you about how important sleep is. It impacts so much of our life, you guys. But if you're anything like me, your sleep schedule was thrown off once you had to work remotely or transition to online courses. I found in the past, because I've made some adjustments, but I found myself staying up later, waking up later. My schedule was just off because I was home and I didn't have to think about my commute, and my schedule was a little bit more flexible. So there are advantages to that, but when it comes to maintaining a routine and making sure that you get enough sleep, a schedule is really, really important. You need, and I'm sure you've heard this many times, but you need at least 8 hours of quality, uninterrupted sleep to be most effective in all sorts of activities, but most certainly in all sorts of learning activities. So do your best to maintain a sleep schedule, especially before times when you're gonna study and take your final exams. Also, what we sometimes we don't think about is that it's still really important to prioritize self-care. So if all you're focused on all day long is studying and taking exams and finishing projects and assignments, that's going to cause a lot of burnout and exhaustion. And so incorporating times for healthy self-care, like exercise, virtually socializing with friends, those sorts of things are really important just to help you maintain your stamina, right? It'll give you a little bit of a break, a little bit of reprieve to help you recharge, refuel, and feel like you can take on the next time period of studying or finishing a final. Also, this might be harder. I'm wondering, it might be a little bit harder now, but I know you can certainly squeeze in a few minutes of completely unplugging, right? Right now, we're being forced so much more to be, we already were, right? We're moving into technology, we're already on it, but now having online courses, working from home, we're constantly in front of a screen. We have to be, that's our primary mode of work, of communication with people. And so it's really been helpful because we've been able to, continue doing our jobs and continue going to courses, but it also it's not good for our mental health. And so if you're able to take some quiet time and completely unplug each day, this means also like no texting, no getting on social media. I'm talking about complete unplug for 15 minutes a day where you're just quiet. Maybe you're listening to music, maybe you're meditating, but you're just separating yourself from all of that stimulation that comes with being in front of a screen. That's really gonna give your brain and your body and your mental health a break. Some time to just decompress is really, really important. Other things that are helpful if you find yourself being anxious are there deep breathing techniques, right? And so what that would look like is breathing in for 4 seconds in through your nose and then out through your mouth for 4 seconds. And you can do that about 4 times. That helps level out the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in your body. And can be really helpful for reducing stress and anxiety in the immediate moment. So if you find yourself getting worked up, try deep breathing and kind of notice how your body responds differently to things, and then your mind starts responding differently to things. You can also use grounding techniques that are helpful if you're becoming overwhelmed in the moment. Grounding techniques really bring us, like if you think of your feet on the ground, they bring us back to where we are in the moment. My favorite grounding technique to do is the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. And that is where you look around, you look at all of your surroundings, and you name and describe, either out loud or in your head, depending on, you know, if you have company around you or not. You want to name and describe in as much detail as possible 5 things you can see. And then you'll move on to 4 things you can touch. And then 3 things you can, these are your senses, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna get you out of your head. It's gonna get you out of all of those anxiety, worrisome, stressful thoughts of being overwhelmed and about what you have to do. It's gonna take you out, and it's gonna have you focus on something else so that you can kind of recenter yourself and then move forward. And you can practice those techniques as often as necessary. I'm not able to go through a whole host of techniques, but what I can do is provide some handouts with grounding techniques and coping skills that might be helpful for those of you who are experiencing significant amounts of anxiety and stress right now. And that'll be available to you all. Hopefully, I'm not consulting with anyone right now, but you know, hopefully the folks who put together StudyCon, the ACE Center, will be able to have those available and posted for you. But also, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, we're always available for you for questions, consultations, group therapy, setting up individual appointments, anything you guys want. I'll be making more videos, and we'll go from there. I hope you guys take really good care of yourself. Best of luck with finals. You got this. I know you can do it.